Yeah, so we're back with another ajin demi-human uh, summary. If you haven't already, go check out the other video. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content just like this. Anyway, let's get right into the video. So we start out on this chapter very strong with Kay immediately dying from a motorcycle crash. He puts on a new pair of clothes since the other ones he had are now all bloody and ripped. Obviously, he can't be walking around in those, so he puts on some new ones. He starts making his way to where him and Sato and Tanaka are gonna meet up. So he goes to this like temple place. He goes up the stairs. He's kind of worried that they might pull something, like they're gonna do something to him. But he eventually gets this to the top of the stairs and sees them just standing in front of the temple. And Mr. Sato's like, nice and quiet, right? The priest here isn't always around either. It's a handy spot. We cut to Tosaki and his assistant, Shimamura. Shimamura gets into the car and she's like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't have a change of clothes. I chose the most plain ones I could find.
Shut up, you stupid bitch!
And Tosaki's like, I don't care. Give me the report. She's like, yeah, the little girl, she was kind of kidnapped. And then Tosaki's like, no, the fight between the two black ghosts. But then before she can talk, and Tosaki gets a call from Araki, the guy who's like trying to find Kei. And he says something about how Kei's sister's phone was used recently and they're tracking it. Mr. Tosaki's like, alright, by the way, you can use tranquilizer guns now. Alright, bye. And he hangs up. Shimamura's kind of confused. She's like, why didn't you let him use it in the first place? And he's like, I wanted to see if K was a variant. Basically, I don't think I explained this in the last video. A variant is an Ajin that can use a black ghost. And he basically says he used the police as bait. So Tanaka literally pulls out a knife and stabs Sato in the heart. And he dies and comes back so he could prove that he's an actual Ajin. Kei questions why Tanaka would be out here because the media never reported that he had escaped or anything like that. But before he can get any answers, Sato's like, as I said over the cell, we are ready to accept you. And the Kei's like, first of all, I got 3 questions. First, my little sister. Oh, yeah, her. Yeah, we let her go. And then Kei's like, well, that's a little anticlimactic. We see Eriko in an ambulance going back to the hospital. So, we get some comfort out of that, knowing that she's okay. Then Sato gets on the ground and bows, and he says he's sorry for worrying him as well as his sister. As for his second question, he's like, how do y'all live? But before he answers his questions, Sato's like, I'm sorry to say it might not be what you expected. After they found out you're a demi-human, I'm sure you were treated horribly by many people. Yet, we must not assume humanity is our enemy. That is my view. And then Tanaka goes, whatever, bro. He doesn't quite see it that way, though. Be more human than the humans. That's my motto. How do we live? We live quietly. And the kid's like, he's a good guy. But then Sato's like, Kei, if anything were to ever happen to you, I'd have to rescue you at any cost. Just like I saved him, referring to Tanaka. And then his third question is about the black ghosts. He was gonna ask, what they were. But before he could do that, a tranquilizer dart is shot directly at them and goes right past Sato. Everyone kind of freaks, and they try and get to cover. But of course, Kei is hit, and he falls to the ground. And he's like, oh no. And he starts to go night-night. He's very sleepy. But then Sato's like, how about a cup of coffee, Tanaka? And Tanaka's like, and they both leave. But before they both leave, it shows us a couple panels that are zooming out. As it zooms out, it says the words of Sato. He says, this really is a nice and quiet spot. The priest isn't always around either. Even if he did happen to be here today. They also stuff him in a car and say he needs to be educated. And then Kay soon wakes up and he's blindfolded. We get a shot of his face, which is almost completely covered except for like around his nose. And he has the numbers 003 on his like blindfold. We see in this panel that his arm is strapped to a little table. It's like taped there or something. We also get to see the like media covering the capture of Kay, and we see Tosaki like questioning why did Sato leave him behind like that. Before they actually do anything, they confirm that Kay was the same person from the crash site. But then Kay tries to speak, but he can't. He can only do like slight murmurs. And this isn't just because his voice is being muffled, because he says that his throat feels sore. And we also discover that they literally severed his vocal cords so he could not physically speak. Then, of course, they take a saw to his arm and start cutting it off. They pick up his severed arm and they're like, alright, mail this to Mr. Iwazaki. Now for the next experiment, they're going to monitor his brain activity. This is so they can estimate how many times he's died. So of course, they cut off his fingers one by one. They confirm that he's only died a couple of times, which is pretty accurate. Then suddenly there's a scrape on the glass, and one of the surgeons are like, was that always there? Yeah, for sure. They then continue whatever they're doing. All the scientists observe the scratch marks, then Tosaki is like, do you see it? Yeah. The ghost is kind of just looking at all the scientists from across the window. Mr. Tosaki asks why Kay isn't attacking the researchers. But then Shimomura concludes that he's probably not even aware that he can control the thing, and he probably doesn't have a good link to his black ghost, comparing it to like a phone call with bad reception. Then Tosaki asks where the black ghost is, which was clearly a mistake because Shimomura's like, it's looking right at you. And then Tosaki is like afraid for a second, but then he gets like slightly offended. Then Tosaki in his fit of rage is like, don't look away, Shimomura. The only reason you are on this side of the glass is that I bother to keep you a secret. Do your job, or else. This obviously scares the crap out of Shimomura, because she obviously doesn't want to be the person getting torn apart in the research room. They decide to finally kill Kay, resetting him, and they all take a break. Well, kid, I thought you didn't want to turn out like me. What was that cold look you gave me? What was all that on your high horse? You get it now, don't you? You were just acting tough when you didn't know what hell feels like. Hallucination Tanaka basically encourages him to kill the researcher with his black ghost. And he almost does. But then Kay remembers Kai and that look he gave him when he offed himself. So he decides not to kill the researcher, and Tanaka's like, why? Literally, why, dude? And Kay's like, if I do that, Kai might hate me. Huh? Don't you have any balls at all? No, they literally cut them off. Yeah. They're literally killing you, and you're not gonna do anything about it? Basically, no. Then Kay gets stabbed and goes to sleep. He wakes back up for day 2, ready to be experimented on again. This time, though, they're just trying to inflict as much pain as possible. Then we get this whole side story about one of Kay's former friends that watched him die to the truck. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but basically he feels bad for Kay because he didn't ask for this. Basically what he does, he joins an online group. He tries to do like anything he can to help Kay because obviously he can't do much. Then his girlfriend breaks up with him because he's not studying with her or something. But this helps him discover something important. It helps him discover that he really doesn't give a crap about what happens to Kay. He was just kind of pretending. We cut to Sato doing this sort of deal. He exchanges 1 crates filled with like organs inside of them. I think we already know how he got them. And and he gets the 2 bags in exchange. They open the bags to show that they got like guns in there. Then we cut to the research building where Kay is being held up in, and one of the media people are like, Dr. Kuyogura vehicle is now entering the center. We see a man in the car. We can't really make out who he is, but we know it's Dr. Akuya Ogura. I'm just gonna call him Dr. Ogura. He's a Japanese scientist that moved to US to do science stuff there. Then we see some security guard who is killed by a black ghost. And we also see like a cut in the fence. This is where Sato and Tanaka will make their break inside. They really don't have much of a plan, but Sato's like, yeah, just go full on Call of Duty on them, and we'll win. So that's exactly what they do. There is immediately an explosion that sets off all the sprinklers, and we see some security guard dude on like a webcam saying like, we have an intruder, he's wearing a hat. Then he gets shot in the face, and then Sato's like, yo, what's up guys? How's it going over there? Yeah, basically, I'm taking over this place, so yeah. And then he hangs up. As they're discussing like a plan, Tosaki's like, do not kill Sato, because it can trigger another Shinya Nakamura incident. In other words, it could lead to our nightmare scenario. A bunch of security stand at this giant metal door as it opens. And then Sato literally Call of Duty slides past the corner of the door and starts blasting. Eventually, though, someone shoots their tranquilizers and hits him in the arm, which he then proceeds to cut off. He pulls out his pistol and starts shooting with that. He gets hit 2 more times. He proceeds to kill himself. He revives and starts shooting again, and eventually he kills everyone. We then cut to the scientists watching this all go down, and they're like, what the heck, how? Why didn't he use his variant power? Where was the black ghost? Maybe we just couldn't see it? And then someone walks in. We can just infer it's Dr. Ogura. He basically walks in. He's like, well, no duh, you couldn't see it. It's invisible to begin with. Basically, he explains what the black ghosts are. They're called IBMs, which in the future volume we'll learn is acronym for invisible black matter. He goes on to say IBMs are invisible to the human eye, but are shaped like humans. This dude mistakes what he's saying and thinks he's like talking about some sort of spiritual thing, like they're actual ghosts. Dr. Ogura calls him an idiot and says IBMs are matter. We then cut to like this room with I'm not sure what they're called. They're like things bodies are held in. Sato opens one of them to reveal Kei. Then he stabs him to wake him up. Kei wakes up and Sato's like, can you make out with me? Kei asks how long he's been here for, and Sato's like, like over 10 days. Kei is surprised by this, because obviously it felt like much longer. I'm really sorry for the trouble. This is how you turn out. You're really starting to get on my nerves. Then we go to another side story, except this one's actually very important, unlike the other one. The other one's just showing how people really view ajins. But this one's important because this he's an ajin who just died of a motorcycle crash, similarly how Kei did at the beginning of the volume. It reveals that this story is the Shinya Nakamura incident. Basically, this dude, his name's like Shinya Nakamura. I'm just gonna call him Nakamura. He got in this bad car crash, and he like died, lost his arm, and he discovers he's an ajin because he came back to life. He freaks out for a second and starts to clean up the mess. He thought he saw someone, but no, it was actually no one. Somehow, though, he makes it home without being caught, except for like a few people looked at him strange. We get a lot of information on demi-humans, and from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. So if you want to like get any of this and like information, either pause the video or go read the volume for yourself, because it's really good. Anyway, he does research on demi-humans. Once he finds out what he really is, he's like, I don't want to be researched on. You know, it's probably best to keep this a little secret. But he's like, it's fine. Nothing's gonna happen. I made it look like I just illegally dumped the broken motorcycle there. You know, it's fine. All the blood rushed away from the rain. But the only problem is this thing. As long as no one sees this, I will be fine. And then, of course, as soon as he says that, someone knocks on the door. He wraps it up and puts it away somewhere. I'm not sure where he put it. Shinny, you in there? So, of course, naturally, Nakamura lets him in. Then Nakamura starts crying. Then Yusuke, being the great friend he is, he passes him like a tissue, which has an interesting ad on it. Nakamura tries to like deny that he's like anything's going on. He's just crying for no reason. Of course, Yusuke doesn't believe this, and he's like, "Come on, man. We've been friends for so long. You can tell me anything, dude." He almost tells him he's a demi-human, but he decides not to. You know, I'm sick and all, so you should probably go. Which was the right choice. Good job, Nakamura. Next day, he's going to school or something, and he sees the black ghost again and walks like right in front of him. And he's like, "Oh no, I'm a schizophrenic," and he starts running. He almost gets hit by a car, but his good old pal Yusuke is right behind him coincidentally and pulls him away from the car. So he's just fine in the end. Then Nakamura decides to confess to Yusuke why he's been acting so strange. And then a couple of people like walk up on him. They're like, "Bingo, that's the face. I've been found out? The proof is right here with me too." Dude snaps his fingers and one of his goons brings up like a little chest thing. He opens it and reveals his broken helmet. He's like, "My helmet? Why do they have that? Did I leave something in it? Is there blood in it? And it crashed that bad?" Only a monster could forget something like this. He opens the helmet to reveal his own face. They both literally make eye contact with each other. It's kind of really creepy. He freaks out and has a mental breakdown. He's like, "How could I not even notice that my own head came off?" They reveal that they're from like the Demi-Human Control Commission, and they immediately choose violence, and he pulls out a gun. As he shoots, of course, Yusuke jumps in front of the demi-human who can just come alive again. And Yusuke starts dying, of course. A little bit of like the black ghost matter starts oozing out of him. Another hallucination? It turns into like a very weird half black ghost. He's like, "Shinya, you gotta run, my guy." He starts to get very angry. And then he gets shot in the head. All the men try and restrain him, secure him. But then we see a black ghost appear out of nowhere. And it starts stabbing people. And then it reveals that there's just a bunch for some reason. And one of the black ghosts is like, "I'll kill all of you." They get in a gunfight with a black ghost. Obviously, none of their shots work. And they all get massacred, as they deserve. Anyway, yeah, they all die, and all the black ghosts disappear slowly. Nakamura gets back out to see his dead friend. He's kind of sad. Luckily for Nakamura, no one printed his face or name anywhere in the news or media. No one knows about him, so he's basically fine. So he gets in a taxi, and he's like, "Take me to the station, please. By the way, please make sure to drive safely. We only have one life, for the most part." And that's the end of the volume. Oh my god. I love this volume so much. I really do. This is like one of my favorite volumes so far. And it's really good. So if you guys want to go like read it for yourself, you know, go buy it somewhere, not sure, order it off of Amazon or something. And yeah. So anyway, and that's the end of this video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. And anyway, I'll see you in the next video. See y'all later.